They had fought for centuries. Blood against fang, claw against shadow. So when the werewolf knelt, the entire underworld fell silent. Because werewolves do not bow. Not to kings. Not to gods. And never to vampires. Yet on that night, under a blood-red moon, one did. Long before humans wrote history, before castles and crowns. Two immortal races ruled the night. The vampires cold, immortal strategists. Masters of cities, secrets, and silence. And the werewolves wild, ancient guardians. Children of the forest and moon. Bound by honor, not fear. They were never meant to coexist. A single betrayal, lost to time. Turned neighbors into enemies and enemies into legends of bloodshed. For 500 years no treaty held. No peace survived. Until one night everything changed. His name was Kalen Stormfang. Alpha of the Northern Pax. Warrior older than most kingdoms. His scars told stories no bard dared sing. Kalen had led his kind through massacres, betrayals, and extinction attempts. He had ripped apart vampire generals, burned their cities to ash, and he had sworn an oath. I will never kneel, but not as while leaders. The moon still rises. To his people Kalen was strength. To vampires. He was death. So when word spread that Kalen had crossed into vampire territory, panic followed. Because werewolves never entered vampire cities unless they came to end them. The city was called Narctira, a metropolis carved from black stone. Lit by crimson lanterns that never went out, it was ruled by Queen Seraphine Vale. She was not loud, not cruel, not reckless. Seraphine was something far more dangerous. She was patient. A vampire older than empires, who ruled not with fear, but with precision, when her guards announced that a werewolf alpha stood at the gates, she didn't reach for a weapon. She said calmly, "Let him enter." That decision alone shocked her entire court. The throne room went silent. As Kalen Stormfang stepped inside, claws retracted, eyes glowing amber. Every vampire present prepared for war. Kalen walked forward. One step, then another. He stopped before the throne. The air was thick with hatred. Queen Seraphine stood slowly, meeting his gaze without flinching. They stared at each other. Two legends. Two enemies carved by time. Then something impossible happened. Kalen lowered his head. Gasps echoed. And then, the alpha of all werewolves knelt. Chaos exploded. Vampire nobles shouted. Guards drew blades. Outside the city, werewolf scouts howled in disbelief. Kalen Stormfang, the unbreakable, had bowed. Queen Seraphine raised her hand, silencing everyone. Her voice was calm, but deadly. Why does the wolf kneel? Kalen's voice was rough, controlled, because I was wrong. The words struck harder than any weapon. Kalen revealed the truth hidden for centuries. The ancient war had been built on a lie. A rogue werewolf clan, long extinct, had framed the vampires for a massacre. History had been rewritten by rage. Kalen had discovered proof, buried beneath the ruins of the old world. A third enemy was rising, something older than vampires, something that hunted werewolves, a shadow species that fed on immortals. And they were coming. Kalen didn't kneel out of weakness. He knelt because pride would doom them all. Queen Seraphine descended from her throne. She stood before Kalen. The room waited for blood. Stand. Kalen rose. Seraphine turned to her court. Tonight, the war ends. Outrage followed, but she continued. Not because we forgive, but because extinction forgives no one. She offered an alliance. For the first time in 5 centuries, vampires and werewolves stood on the same side. The enemy attacked 3 nights later. creatures of shadow and bone, immune to fang and claw. Vampires fought with strategy, werewolves with fury. They learned each other's strengths. Where one fell, the other rose. Kaelin and Seraphine fought back to back, not as friends.
Peace didn't save them. It only gave the enemy time to learn how to kill both sides better. Because the night the war ended, something ancient opened its eyes, and it was not afraid of wolves or vampires. The forests healed slowly, burned trees regrew, rivers ran clean again. In Noctira, vampire towers stood untouched, but the silence felt heavier than battle. For the first time in centuries, no alarms rang, no blood scented the air, and that silence unsettled everyone. Kaelin Stormfang felt it first. The moon still rose, but it felt distant. The wolves dreamed of darkness, without shape, without sound. Dreams where the moon went out. It started quietly. A lone vampire scout vanished near the eastern ruins. No blood, no struggle. Then a werewolf hunter failed to return from patrol. Tracks ended suddenly, as if the ground swallowed them. Noctira's scholars searched ancient records. What they found terrified even the immortals. A name erased from history. Not an enemy. A correction, the Nullborn. The Nullborn were older than clans, older than thrones. They were created to end immortal wars by erasing immortals entirely. They did not feed on blood. They fed on existence. Vampires could not mesmerize them. Werewolves could not track them. They existed between moments, half shadow, half absence, and once awakened, they did not stop. The records ended with a warning. When wolf bows to vampire, the balance shifts, and the Nullborn return. To restore it, Queen Seraphine summoned Kaelin again. This time, no throne room. They met beneath the city. In the catacombs where ancient mistakes slept, Seraphine spoke plainly. The Alliance saved us from extinction. But it broke an older law. Kaelin listened, jaw tight. So the universe sends executioners? Yes, she replied, and they don't negotiate. For the first time, the queen looked concerned, not afraid. Concerned. The Nullborn could not be killed by fang or claw, but they could be bound. There was a ritual, a forbidden one. It required vampire blood willingly given, werewolf power freely restrained, and one leader to surrender their immortality. Silence followed. Everyone knew what that meant. Kaelin spoke first. I'll do it. Seraphine's eyes narrowed. You are not the only leader, but I am the one who bowed, he said. This began with me. The vampire council erupted. The werewolf elders howled in outrage. An immortal leader choosing mortality was unheard of. Kaelin was more than an alpha. He was a symbol. Seraphine finally spoke. If he falls, the Alliance falls with him. Kaelin answered quietly, then make sure it stands without me. That night, the Pax argued. The courts plotted, but the Nullborn didn't wait. The city went dark, not metaphorically. The lanterns died. Shadows peeled themselves off the walls. Nullborn moved through stone like smoke. Vampires struck. Their blades passed through nothing. Werewolves tore at the air, roaring in frustration. One Nullborn reached the upper spires. It touched a vampire elder, and he vanished. No scream, no corpse, just absence. Panic spread, until Kaelin stepped forward and roared the ancient call, a call of command, not to attack, but to hold. They performed the ritual as the city burned quietly. Seraphine cut her palm. Blood, dark, ancient, fell onto the stone. Kaelin stood at the center, chains of moon iron binding his power. The Nullborn gathered, curious. For the first time they noticed him, and that was the mistake. Kaelin didn't fight them. He anchored them. Every howl, every breath pulled them closer. The ground cracked. The night screamed.
Rise now, my shadow, the night calls. Let them hear your howl.